chat more about what's going on with Nebraska right now, former Husker David Benning, and of course, Sean Callahan. Michigan does control their fate still. And if they could win for the 5th year in a row over Ohio State, that would be crazy.
Yeah, it'd actually be ideal, just because I think it's not too far-fetched of a world where I think Notre Dame and Miami could both get in. And then you get your G5.
Yep.
And then go 4-4, and then it gets interesting or at 4 from the Big Ten. Then it gets interesting with can 2 get in from the Big 12, which really squeezes the SEC, which is kind of what I'm after.
Of course, on the other side, USC gets upset over Oregon. Ohio State still beats Michigan. USC lose. It could be 2. As easy, right? I mean, it could go back and forth pretty easily.
Do you look at SC Oregon as an elimination game for Oregon?
Yes.
Their resume is shaky.
Yeah. The way they have them
when
drop
you
down.
look at it, it's because right now.
Because their big win against Penn State, of course, is no longer.
Yeah. They have Washington after USC.
Yes, exactly. So, it could go either way. Thoughts so far on the season and how, as a former player, do you treat the bye week? What's the important part of the bye week for you guys?
So I think it was interesting that they're coming off the win against UCLA for the bye week because it changes your preparation to some degree. I think you always want to be your own benchmark, but realistically, you get a little more pep in your step because you're going to get the extra 2 days of prep. You treat the real rest day as an active rest day because you want to stay busy and keep the momentum. Your mood is different, so I think your subconscious kicks in to stay aggressive. So you always want to take advantage of rest and recovery. That's number one.
Yeah.
But when you start to implement that game plan early and you get the iPad and they're doing their install, man, you're locked and loaded and you know that you're going to a tough place and probably your first true road game. I think you always want to be on attack mode with the bye week.
So there's a bye week in between, but obviously we saw this earlier in the season. They beat Maryland, then they had to go to Minnesota. Your feel about adjusting to whatever didn't go quite right the first time?
Yeah, I think this is different for Nebraska, just having the week off to get ready for this trip. I mean, and you brought the point up, the stat of not winning the back-to-back weeks on the road, how hard that is to do. I think the momentum of getting the win and having the week off to kind of recover, look at things closer, watch Penn State play. But Penn State was at home. Or Penn State was on the road last week.
Michigan State,
I just think they're in a different position. That Maryland-Minnesota was a unique stretch, especially with the shortened week out at Minneapolis. Now, Nebraska's going to see a different version of that with the shortened week at home with a very physical Iowa team that's going to come to Lincoln on Black Friday.
How important was the bye week for Emmett Johnson? We talked so much earlier about how many carries he was getting. The last 4 weeks, obviously, he's been running the ball a lot. How important was it for him?
Well, it was important, right? But for EJ, he doesn't take time off, right? Even when he could cut reps down or maybe get light work, he's constantly getting reps. He's one of those guys that's a rhythm and feel guy.
Yeah.
So he likes to stay busy. He eats the right way. He takes good care of his body. And so for him, man, you almost want to stay in a rhythm, but he's smart. He's played the long game with his body. And he doesn't take a lot of good shots in terms of direct. So I think, he enjoys the time off. He got a chance to campaign a little bit. Now let's see if he can put it together in a good performance.
Doesn't take a lot of big shots. Random name, but Pierre Thomas. That's who he is.
Oh, the tiptoe.
Always turned his shoulders.
Tray, just subtle shoulder turns.
Rarely ever took a big shot. What about in terms of, and Damon was mentioning rhythm, getting TJ Lateef another week, right, to be able to get into the offense, get under control, understand what he needs to do before going on the road in this tough trip?
Yeah, they gave him a really simple menu at UCLA, just the way they used him, the way he had confidence in what he was doing. Now that's all out on film, and now Jim Knowles has had time to look at that. So I think, how do you pivot off of what he did at UCLA, find some more things that you know could hurt Penn State? We know Penn State has struggled, which everybody struggles at in a way with mobile quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So how can you utilize that mobility this week to get this very aggressive Penn State defense off balance? You know they're going to bring numbers at Lateef to see how he handles it. Jim Knowles did something similar last year to Dylan Raiola in Columbus when he was at Ohio State. And you have to think he's going to have a similar aggressive game plan to get after Lateef.
Not to disagree with Sean at all. I saw plays that they hadn't run before. So they added some things, right?
I'm in agreement. I'm on this
They
side.
added stuff. I know that it looked simple because you were going against UCLA and because he looked like he was in rhythm, but they added stuff. That play we just saw, I didn't see that play all season.
Yeah,
that whip route.
And kind of running the duo, the play action off duo, putting him in underneath center a little bit more, and putting EJ directly behind the running back. It was subtle, but it was different. And I think the thing that we learned about TJ is he's bright. His football acumen is at a high level, and he prepares like a pro. So they'll continue to build on it, and his confidence will grow too. But to agree with Sean, the pressure package will probably look a lot more like the last few series against Indiana than it will what happened in East Lansing. Because I think if you're Penn State, I get it, the coach effect bump, and maybe you settle in and no Aller versus Aller, but I mean, if we're honest, FIU Penn State looked a lot like Michigan State Penn State. So that was at the beginning of the season with a healthy quarterback and a full team. It still is the same Penn State team that it looked a lot like what we saw at East Lansing last week.
We're going to talk to a guy who covers Penn State a little bit later. But what I've noticed watching them the last 4 weeks is their pressure packages have changed. Their two best sack guys combined for 6 of their 8 sacks in the last 4 games.
Yeah.
They've been getting after it more. That's something, obviously, they have to get ready for.
Yeah, I think they just have been more aggressive as the matchups have changed. I mean, I felt like when the schedule was harder, they played with pressure. The Oregon game, they just didn't really play to win that game. When you go back and watch it, they were so conservative at times with what they did.
So it was a James Franklin game.
Exactly.
I've been watching that for 10 years.
And you just think about how far things have come. James Franklin's now the head coach of Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
And that Oregon game wasn't that long ago. So I think now there's this nothing to lose mentality. They're heavy favorites by almost 10 points this week. They're going to be heavy favorites against Rutgers, get to 6 wins, get to maybe New York for the Pinstripe Bowl. I mean, that's kind of what Penn State's playing for right now. They don't have much more to play for other than, extending their season and hopefully getting a bowl trip.
Yeah, well, the back end of that, or the other side of that coin, is with that front 5-6 man pressures. They've been vulnerable to some big plays.
Over the top.
And what's happened is teams have thrown the ball over their head a little bit. So they'll have to shore that up a little bit, because I do think TJ can spin it at a good enough level with those guys outside where you have to worry about running after the catch. You send +2 pressures, you better tackle on the back end, and it's left them a little bit vulnerable.
And also, pretty much every quarterback they've gone against who was mobile has had a big numbers. Nico obviously had a huge game against them. Even Mendoza had 2 runs, 4 first downs, had a touchdown run.
He saved their bacon on a couple of those scramble extending first down drives.
Yeah, so we wouldn't be surprised if some of those run plays for Latif are put into it to go against what we've seen already as a problem for.
Yeah, set the tone early with his legs and kind of get them off balance, because it's a completely different quarterback than Dylan Raiola. So the film that they were preparing on Nebraska, throw it out the window. I mean, you don't have as much to study, but we know Latif's athletic ability can really get you off balance. We saw it with UCLA, opening play of the game, what they did. And that really set the tone, I felt like, for the rest of the night with his mobility, that they had to defend Nebraska differently than maybe previously with Dylan Raiola.
Yeah, it's an old wives' tale, but nobody talks about the soup as long as it's hot. Nobody talked about the offensive line last week.
Yeah,
I don't remember hearing much offensive line talk on Monday, Tuesday after that game.
It's just interesting how it's the same offensive line that's got a guy mentioned in the Heisman. He's a Maxwell finalist. You've ran the ball well. You've played 9 different offensive linemen. Who knows how many different combinations. You're down 2 of your top 3 tackles. You had a guy flip positions, and you can't look me in the eye with a straight face and tell me Pritchett is not a better player today than when they got him. So, while are they a perfect unit? Absolutely not. Were they leaky on the edges a couple of games? 100%. But I'm not yet ready to have the development discussion when we look at it in its totality with context.
Yeah. They've given up 24 sacks in Big Ten play, but only 2 over the last 3 games. So obviously something has gotten better.
Yeah, since that Minnesota 9-sack game, I mean, everything has changed. And it starts with getting the ball out of the quarterback's hand. I mean, you're just not seeing the quarterback hold the ball for 4+ seconds. And we saw at times, whether it was protection issues, receivers not getting open, or just the QB holding the ball too long, the ball was in the quarterback's hands way too long, and it led to issues
Yep.
with everything they were doing. I think Dana Holgerson has done a much better job of getting the ball out of the quarterback's hand, not allowing what we saw against Michigan or what we saw against Minnesota to happen again.
Plus, they're running the ball.
It's interesting. Like, if we're honest, just pull out, go 30,000 feet, and be objective. Would you really be surprised if 2 of the 3 interior linemen had got postseason honors? I mean, between Latovsky, Evans, and Spindler, these guys are playing at a really high level. It's just underappreciated positions, and it's not as sexy as looking at what's happening outside of tackle.
Before we get to defense real quick, we're not talking enough about Evans moving to center and how he's playing. It's the toughest position on the line in terms of everything you need to know, and he is playing at a high level.
He's flourished. I mean, he's not. It's not just the position change. It's you don't even mention him
Yep.
for anything that's going wrong, and we take for granted his athleticism when it goes right.
Yep.
It's like, oh, that's just Justin being Justin. It's like, again, the conversation in its totality with offensive line development. I get what's easy to see sometimes when you give up 18 sacks in 2 games between Michigan State and Minnesota, right? It gets ugly in a hurry.
Yeah.
But from a development standpoint, I'll listen.
Yeah. Defensive-wise, we look at the Black Shirts and they're up 28-7. They give up those late scores. Your feeling about what you've seen from the team ever since Nebraska started running the ball and getting more time in possession, what you've seen from the defense?
Well, the pass defense has been elite, and I think the USC game really solidified that. Nobody did to what Nebraska did to Mekhi Lemon.
Nobody.
No. And I had USC writers say that to me after the game. They're like, wow, what Nebraska's secondary did to USC's receivers.
Yep.
That hasn't been done all year. Unfortunately, they've struggled, obviously, with the mobile quarterbacks and stopping the run at times, but they've been very good about not giving up the big plays. I think that's the one thing. When teams score on the defense, it's long drives. It's 14, 15, 16-play drives. So I think that is a positive that, hey, no matter what, they have to earn what they get against this black shirt defense. And there's been moments where they've been excellent. The pass rush with just 4 has just not been what you need it to be, though, to be an elite defense in the Big Ten all around.
Yeah, you force somebody to go on long drives like that, better chance of them getting penalties, turning the ball over, and that sort of thing.
Yeah, and what's happening now in college football, and in particular with the couple of long drives that Nebraska's given up, I think they have 4 drives of 16 plays or more. On 75% of those, there's been a defensive penalty that has extended those drives too. So the difference between an excuse and an explanation is accountability. So Nebraska has to own the fact that they need to be a little bit more disciplined. You get a little handsy, you get a little grabby, you get PIs, those extend drives. But when teams are taking 4 downs to get 10 yards, or you give up a scramble, some of that you'll live with, even though you don't love it, because you don't think it's sustainable over the long haul. But to Sean's point, they're not throwing it over to Nebraska. They're not throwing it over Nebraska's head, and they're not giving up the explosives for scores. Over time, that dog will usually hunt.
Now you think about, I have to think all the way back to that Ohio State game, last year when Jeremiah Smith got over the top on the 1. But I mean, I can't even think of really any that have been, other than a pass interference, that have really been deep balls.
You think about how opposite that defense was. That defense at Ohio State allowed 1 rushing first down, and it was a QB sneak where a false start wasn't called on.
Right.
Where Jeremiah Smith obviously did what he does.
Yeah.
But this defense.
And a switch release, they turned him free.
It's now the pass defense that's been elite, where the run defense has had issues maybe just being consistent, giving up a lot of 4 to 8 yard type runs. And then when they get the 3rd and longs, it's been the QB runs. How many times have we seen the 3rd and 8 and longer on a QB play get a first down? And that's been a tough blow at times for the defense.
Probably won't see that this week with Penn State's backup quarterback, but just getting more pressure. They've only given up 12 sacks in Big Ten play. What do you think about Nebraska being able to get a little bit more havoc?
So I think for them, it's the pre-snap looks. Whether you show 5, you back out. You show 6, you back out. Grunkemeyer hasn't seen some things real clean yet. He's flushed himself out of the pocket a few times too in these last few starts. For Nebraska, I think the biggest way for them to affect the quarterback Saturday will be pre-snap looks. Their D-line is quietly getting better. Keona Davis, Wanari, those guys, Van Poppel, trajectory up. So if you're Nebraska, you get McCullough back, whether it's +1, +2 pressure, the effectiveness will be all about what you show him pre-snap.
The one thing that Nebraska won't have as big an advantage they've had recently is that even though Nebraska's number 2 special teams-wise, Penn State's 6.
Yeah.
They've actually been really good in
Legit.
coverage. What do you think about that matchup, special teams-wise?
Yeah, the punt returns in general are just harder to come by in some of these Big Ten games. I mean, you're seeing a lot of punts from more midfield area, which generally your return guys kind of in a just catch it or let it go in the end zone mode at that point. So I think a lot of it is early in the year you get kind of more return opportunities, which we saw, and there just haven't been those chances. But the block punt factor, Penn State has blocked 4 punts.
3 by Sutton,
Nebraska's obviously got the one big one for points against Michigan State. I think everyone wants to block punts at Michigan State because they did one on Penn State last week too. So I lean towards Nebraska because they've been so special in that area this year with what they've gotten out of the return game, the kicking game. We have not seen a lot of pressure, though, on Archie Wilson. It'll be interesting what kind of heat they bring at him.
Arnie has more return yards this year than they had between 2021 and 2024, which is crazy to think about.